In the middle of the 1980s, flying was a treat. Air travel felt exclusive because tickets were pricey and the food served on board was fancy. Only the elite class of society was able to afford this luxury, so it was not something everyone could do. Don't be sad, because every problem has a solution, right? That is where RyanAir comes into the picture. It's an Irish carrier that does things very differently. They stepped into the airline business and turned it upside down. Well, in terms of services as well as in terms of controversies. Yes, you heard that right. When you search for RyanAir today, you will find that this low-cost airline is now Europe's biggest airline. But getting there was not easy. Do you want to know how RyanAir paved its way through all the thunderstorms to reach where they are today? Stay with us till the end of the video to find out. So, let's get started. RyanAir began as a small business in 1985. Initially, the Ryan family only had one plane that flew between Waterford, Ireland, and London. At first, RyanAir was just another airline looking to make a name for itself in a market dominated by big names like British Airways and Aer Lingus. They tried to give the same services as the bigger airlines for a few years and followed the same rules. But they were just a small fish in the sea. The company was having a hard time with money, and it was clear they needed to make some changes to stay in business. So what did they do? To understand it all better, let's go to the beginning of the story. In 1984, RyanAir took off from Ireland, but don't think of it as a fancy start with champagne toasts and talks. Not at all. RyanAir's beginning was as low as it gets. At first, there was only one small plane with 15 seats that went back and forth between London and Waterford, Ireland. As we said earlier, air travel was mostly controlled by big companies at the time, and most people couldn't afford to fly. RyanAir wished that would be different. Their simple goal was to make it easier and cheaper for regular people to fly. But as with any story about an outsider, things were really hard in the beginning. Competing with big airlines like British Airways was not easy. RyanAir had to deal with losses, problems, and a lot of doubters. It looked like the company might fail, and for a while their dream of cheap plane travel might just remain a dream. No matter what the conditions were, RyanAir was not ready to give up. That is until Michael O'Leary came along and changed everything. In the early 1990s, O'Leary, who was CEO of the airline, had an idea that changed everything. He looked across the English Channel at Southwest Airlines, an American company that had figured out how to make trips very cheap by getting rid of unnecessary extras. Why not do the same thing in Europe? O'Leary asked himself. This simple question was the game changer. What's interesting about O'Leary is that he didn't just dabble in this low-cost plan, he dove right in. No one liked the idea of no-frills travel more than RyanAir. RyanAir didn't care about fancy meals or extra space. Their main goal was to get people from A to B as cheaply as possible. Do you want some snacks? Bring your own. Want to book a seat? Spend a little more. Everything was streamlined to save money, and the very low ticket prices were a way for people to travel cheap and get value for their money spent. It worked. Wow, that worked. Not just a little, RyanAir began to grow. They got bigger. All of a sudden, everyone was talking about these ridiculously cheap flights that let people who had never flown before go on trips in Europe. Some people didn't like the simple approach, and O'Leary's outspokenness made some people uncomfortable. But RyanAir was not trying to be everyone's favorite airline. Their main goal was to fill up planes and lower the cost of flying. People tell stories about how ridiculously cheap RyanAir's fares are. Really, how is it possible to get a plane ticket for less than a fancy coffee or pizza? It feels like there is a bug in the system, but it's all planned. RyanAir is the master of cheap travel. They make flying as simple as possible so that their prices are unbelievably low. Let's look at this magic trick in more detail. For starters, RyanAir has a no-frills strategy. When you book a RyanAir trip, you only pay for one thing, a couch. That's it. Everything else? Do not worry about it. Drinks and snacks on the house? Not at all. Entertainment during the flight? Not a chance. There should be enough legroom so you don't feel like a pretzel. Remember to dream. They take a simple approach. They focus on the important things like getting you from A to B quickly and safely. Bring your own sandwich or snack with you in case you get hungry during the trip. Don't worry about getting bored. Bring a book, put Netflix shows on your phone, or make a playlist to keep you busy. But RyanAir is not the place to go if you want a smooth flight like you'd get on a more expensive plane. Their prices are so low because they only give the basics, which is how they keep their costs down. One more secret about RyanAir is the places they pick. They try to land at smaller, less busy airports on the edges of towns instead of big, well-known airports like Heathrow in London or Charles de Gaulle in Paris. RyanAir saves a lot of money because these minor airports have much lower landing fees. Smart people. The inside news is, these airports are not always close to the cities they are named after. For instance, you might book a flight to Paris-Beauvais and then find out that the bus takes about 90 minutes to get to Paris. There is a cost and it's not very practical. Though you save a lot of money on your flight, you may have to spend a little more time and money getting to your final destination. This is a great plan for tourists who want to save money over being comfortable. Now let's talk about RyanAir's planes. You may have noticed something about RyanAir flights. All of their planes look the same. That's because RyanAir only has one type of plane, the Boeing 737. This is not just a strange taste, it's a great way to save money. RyanAir keeps things simple by only using one type of plane. It costs less and takes less time to maintain because mechanics only need to know how to fix one type. Pilots and flight attendants don't have to learn how to fly different types of planes, which makes crew training easier. Standardizing things to this level not only saves money, but also keeps things going smoothly and quickly. It's kind of like wearing the same outfit every day at work. Not as interesting, but much more useful. Such a smart thing to do, right? If you think we are all so smart with the research we have done to bring this video to life, you can appreciate us by simply liking, subscribing to the channel, and sharing this video. Let's get back to some bigger RyanAir secrets. When it comes to being efficient, RyanAir is the best at turning things around quickly. They try to keep their planes off the ground as much as possible. The clock starts to run as soon as the plane arrives. The crew works quickly to clean the cabin, help the next group of people get on, and get the plane back in the air. What's the hurry? Because planes don't make money when they are sitting on the ground. RyanAir increases the number of trips each plane can make in a day by cutting down on downtime. This means the company makes more money. It's like a pit stop in Formula One, but for planes. Quick turns have become an art form for them, which is a big part of how they keep costs and ticket prices so low. Without a doubt, one of the main reasons RyanAir is so successful is its optional extras plan. The very low base fares are just the start. RyanAir has a lot of different add-ons that you can buy after you've booked your ticket. Each one costs extra. Do you want to bring a bag? It will cost you. Would you rather sit by the window or in the aisle? That costs money. Didn't print your boarding pass before you got to the airport? Sorry, you have to pay extra for that too. There may be extra fees for even simple things like taking a slightly bigger carry-on bag. Some customers may not like these fees, but they are a big way for RyanAir to make money. This is a big way for the company to make up for the money they don't make from selling tickets. At the very least, they offer the most basic experience at the very lowest cost. You can then choose how much extra you're ready to pay for comfort or ease of use. When it comes to business, RyanAir is all about freedom and efficiency. They find ways to save money by doing things like using backup airports and streamlining their operations. Then they give those savings to their customers in the form of very low fares. After that, they let you choose to pay extra for things you want. That type of model works great for visitors on a budget who don't mind giving up some comfort to save money. It may not be the most luxurious way to travel, but when the price of a flight is less than the cost of a night out, it's hard to complain. Now let's talk about the plane experience. As for the first thing, getting on board, it's more like a free-for-all. Everyone tries to get the best place because they don't have reservations. A few people are trying to get ahead of each other in a mad run through the crowd while pulling their carry-ons. There is a way to pay extra for faster boarding if you don't want to wait in line. Maybe it will cost you, but at least you won't have to worry about being in a race. I think it was well worth it. Then there are the seats. Let's just say that RyanAir doesn't really care about your happiness. The seats are tight, and if you are tall, you might want to get ready in your mind, because the whole flight your knees will probably be touching the seat in front of you. Laying down? Don't bother. These seats are standing up and will stay that way. You can also pay extra for a little more space. When you fly RyanAir, though, you probably already want to save money, so extra legroom might not be in your budget. Let's talk about what it's like to be in the air now. The cabin crew really starts to sell things as soon as you're in the air. They sell more than just snacks and drinks. They have lottery tickets, perfume, and even smokeless smoke. That's right, dry cigarettes. There is something strange going on all the time. If you like to be alone on a plane, this could be annoying. But if you don't mind how odd everything is, you might even find it funny. Anything can happen on RyanAir planes. Even after having inconveniences, people still choose to travel with RyanAir because the prices are so low that you have to double check them. When you get a trip to Rome for the weekend for only $20, who could say no to it? If you're enjoying this video and you like watching business stories, then you should definitely check out our channel. We have covered some amazing business stories for you. Let's get back to RyanAir again. It has been an interesting journey for RyanAir to become one of the most well-known low-cost companies in Europe. But as with most big businesses, things haven't been easy. Yes, they have made flying cheap and easy for a lot of people, but they have also had some bumps along the way. A lot of people have said bad things about the airline's customer service, or should we say lack of it? People have complained about everything from the airline's strict rules on checked bags because, let's be honest, packing light is hard enough, to the sneaky fees that appear out of nowhere. A cheap ticket is great for everyone, right? But sometimes the cheap ticket doesn't seem so cheap after all the extra fees for things like choosing your spot and carrying your bags. People often find it annoying when they fly with RyanAir, but they still do very well in the business. RyanAir has had problems with more than just its customers. There has also been trouble with the airline's own staff. RyanAir has had a tough time getting along with its workers over the years. There have been several strikes because pilots and office crew want better pay, better working conditions, and even respect. Because of the strikes, flights have been delayed, which is annoying for people who just want to get where they are going without any problems. There has been a lot of back and forth between the company and its employees, but RyanAir keeps flying and the business somehow stays alive. Also, let's not forget about the Earth. When people are worried about the environment, low-cost companies like RyanAir are often in the news. People say that RyanAir's huge fleet and many routes contribute to too many tourists and damage to the environment. Cheap flights are indeed great for travelers on a budget, but some people say that they bring too many tourists to famous spots, which strains the resources of those places. On top of that, all those planes. That is a lot of carbon pollution, for sure. RyanAir has defended itself by saying that it is always trying to be more eco-friendly, but the critics are still very loud. It's hard to find the right balance. Are you too thinking, with all of these problems, how does RyanAir stay in business? Well, RyanAir's financial success is pretty good, even with all the complaints, strikes, and environmental debates. No one else can make more money than the company. They are great at low-cost flying because they keep prices low while still keeping the planes in the air and selling cheap tickets to millions of people. No matter how much people dislike RyanAir, they know how to make money and keep flying people around Europe, even when things go wrong. It looks like they won't be stopping anytime soon. This company doesn't just have small thoughts about the future, they have big ones. RyanAir is going to add more planes to its fleet, which will allow it to carry even more people. More than that, they want to add more lines as well. That means that if you want to go to new places or countries, RyanAir might help you make that dream come true. There is more though. RyanAir is not only trying to make more money, but they are also trying to be a little more eco-friendly. You did hear that right. The company needs to find ways to be more environmentally friendly. One of their plans is to buy ships that use less fuel. They will save money and cut down on their carbon footprint at the same time. Good for everyone, don't you think? Let's talk about what makes RyanAir unique. They aren't afraid to make people angry. That much is certain. They are a leader in the world of low-cost planes because they do business the right way. RyanAir is very direct with their customers, and this has worked very well for them. Many people stick with them because of the low prices, even if they don't like the simple service. But hey, when you can save a lot of money, who needs fancy extras? One thing is for sure, RyanAir is here to stay, whether you love them, hate them, or just like to complain about them. They look like they are not going anywhere because they have become a symbol of cheap plane travel. This shows that they have a good plan because they can keep offering cheap flights while also adding more services. Have you ever traveled in any of the RyanAir's planes? Do share your experience with us in the comments section below. If you enjoyed watching the video, do not forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel. If you want us to cover any particular business story, do tell us in the comments section, and we will do it for you. See you soon in another video with another amazing business video.